I don't know why he's always acting like that. He's just so frustrating. I could use a drink.
Woohoo! Look at me!
Ooh.
Hey there, YouTube. Back with another review as a sort of commemoration of the recently released Takara LGEX Ginrai box set that includes the extra promotional or special edition Minerva and Cab figures. I figured I would do a brief little, maybe not so brief, G1 Minerva and KO and Nightbeat review. Kind of combine them all together since they're all basically the same figure. So what I have here in the center is the the Holy Grail, or figure that from the Japanese Super God Master Force cartoon, the G1 Minerva. On the left here I have the G1 Headmaster Junior Nightbeat, which was later repurposed as the Minerva Nightbeat in Japan as a mail-in only release. And I have on the right the KO, Korean KO Aladdin brand Minerva KO from a couple years back, maybe 2010, 2011, I think. So these two from 1988, I think this is from like 2010 or 2011, maybe 2009. So I've rearranged the cars so we can look at them from different angles. As you can see from this angle, the Nightbeat is a bright blue. The Minerva is, well, now a yellowed white. It was originally probably this color, but it's, over time has gotten a little bit yellowed from being in the package, or when it was in the package. And then we have the KO, which is very white. One thing to notice, or to note, is that the KO comes with sirens in green, and the guns, instead of having this little L shape that the originals have, as you can see here, there's an L shape to the guns on the originals. The KO actually has a straight down appearance, which is an interesting change that was made for this figure. So yeah, that's an interesting modification. On the side profile, they're about the same height, but this one obviously doesn't have the thing that goes back, and the printing is a little bit different. On the original, there are little grills, as you can see on the side there, on the side that faces outward. And on the KO, those little grills are not present on either side. So there are some differences in case you're trying to, figure out whether you have like real parts or not. It's pretty obvious since these stand straight up on the KO. There's a couple other differences between the KO and the original, which is the KO is actually a bit smaller. It's almost like the KO is made from a cast of this or this. And when it was casted, what happens is if you use like a polymer resin, a lot of times the cast will shrink when it's curing. And so what seems to have happened is that's exactly how they did this, is they casted it, and I don't know if you can see from, let me see if I can line them up so you can see, but this one is quite a bit longer, maybe half a centimeter longer, which is interesting, or maybe it's 3 or 4 centimeters or 3 or 4 millimeters, but this one is longer, and all the details are bigger on the original than the KO. So that's one way to tell them apart. Also, this one is starkly white. I mean, this is like an off-white, and this one is just super white. The windows are black on the KO, and honestly, you're going to see like shinier. You're more than likely to see shiny bolts, unless you're looking at a really gem mint original Minerva. You will not see shiny bolts on the wheels or on the axle. Stickers are different, but you know, there's repro labels out there that can replace the original stickers. I mean, I think I have repos on this from the brief time period when they put those out. Only a few of the stickers are the originals. Look like originally on the KO. It's got you know, like a 911, some characters that are some letters I don't understand. Uh, Police style shield thing. But yeah, we've got the black windows here. Um, and again, the dimensions are all smaller. So if you have a Nightbeat and you get a Minerva and it's, you know, significantly smaller than in all dimensions, then you pretty much know you have a one of these KOs, um, which is not bad. I mean, the main thing about the KO that's my biggest complaint is that it's lighter. It doesn't weigh as much. The plastic isn't as high of density, and the quality of the plastic is not as good. It feels more like it's going to crack or become brittle at some point, whereas the original has got, you know, the classic feel to it, G1 feel, if you know what I'm talking about. Another major difference is how the pieces move together. They don't move quite as smoothly as a G1 Nightbeat or Minerva. Now, focusing on the Nightbeat over here, Nightbeat, obviously he's blue, he has silver windows. Most of the stickers between Nightbeat, G1 Nightbeat, and G1 Minerva match up. There's quite a bit of crossover. The obvious differences here being the red stripe here that kind of connects to this, which is really, or to this bottom red trim, which would be really cool if Nightbeat had come with that. And then Minerva obviously has the foil crosses, and all this is foiled. The headlights are basically the exact same headlights. There's no major difference there between the headlights. They're the same headlights. Cross on the front, and there's some other differences on the actual stickers on the torso, but that's kind of wrinkled because I didn't do a very good job. Anyways, yeah. So and then these stickers on the side of Nightbeat are actually clear plastic as opposed to foil, whereas everything on the Minerva is pretty much foiled or foil. Guns are the same between Nightbeat and Minerva. Normally, Nightbeat would also have these little guns here, these little trigger guns, but you know, they look better on Minerva, so there we go. Normally also comes with one of these guns. I forgot to mention that earlier. So you don't just have these two little guns, you also have one of these or one of these, you know. This is actually, I think this is the one off of that. So this is actually, if you want to look at the difference between the KO gun is significantly thinner. This is the real one. This is the KO. It's significantly thinner. It is also shorter, slightly. And the handle is bigger. But as you can see, everything's thinner. They thinned down the profile here. Let's see if I can get a good angle on this so you can see. So those are the two guns. Another difference is that this one is shinier. This is the original, and this is the KO. The KO is duller. The plastic is not as good a quality, and it feels almost kind of flexible. This one is definitely solid. It feels like, you know, classic G1 appearance. As a kid, I always wondered, what is this thing for? Is it like a Lego handle, or what's the point of that? Anyways, so yeah, KO is duller. Not too many other differences other than obvious thickness differences. It's like significant difference in thickness. The original is much thicker, other than the handle. Yeah, okay, so moving forward. See, it doesn't want to stick as easily. Now you can see on the Minerva it went all the way in. On the Nightbeat it doesn't go all the way in because the peg on this one is much larger. So yeah, let's get a look at the figures real quick. We've got Nightbeat's muzzle. We've got real Minerva and KO Minerva. One thing quick to note, the peg on the door of the KO is really long and gets stuck, and it makes it harder to open makes me worried that I'm going to crack the little peg hole there where it pegs in. on the actual figures, it doesn't really actually like fully lock in. It just kind of goes in there and like makes a snapping sound, but it's not really super tight. On this one, it's legitimately tight. Like you can't make it flop open, whereas it's these you shake the real ones and they'll eventually fall open. We've got here's Nightbeat with his or Nightbeat's muzzle. He's the Headmaster Junior for Nightbeat. Compare with uh, Minerva. Um, Basically the exact same figure, just different color molds. Nightbeat is yellow with a blue muzzle. Nightbeat's muzzle is yellow with a blue visor. I just call it Nightbeat all the time. And then Minerva has the yellow visor and the red body. And then the chairs are identical, white and blue. Yeah, and so let's pull them out of their chairs real quick. Again, the chairs are identical. We've got the two of them. Their faces, same orange face. Minerva's eyes are blue. Nightbeat's eyes are black. So otherwise, fairly identical. One thing to note is a very common thing that I've been seeing on Minerva's popping up recently, social media, etc., 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 which is that around the face, you'll frequently see on Minerva and Nightbeat like little pock marks on the face, and that's actually caused by this little clip in the back of the chair. These two clips here are frequently responsible for if the figure's pushed in too far. So if you push the figure in, you have the legs out, and you push here, what will happen is their face will rub up against these two bars here, and the result is scratches to the face, and it's actually pretty easy to do. You have to be, if you're not being too careful. I'll demonstrate really quick. You have to actually push them in here, and when they start to get loose over time, you can push in on the feet. And when you push in on the feet, what happens is you can push them in a little further than you normally would be able to. And by pushing them in further, it causes their faces, the section of their face that's next to the pegs, to scratch the face. Now, when you put them into Headmaster mode, these two little clips are here to stabilize it against the I don't know, the butt, whatever that line is, the bar there. And so what happens is when you slide them in, it stays on tightly. But the side effect of that is if you push the figure in too far, it will end up pushing into the face, and that's a frustration. That can be very frustrating. So with the KO, the interesting thing about the KO versus the real Minerva is the KO is actually slightly shinier, which is a difference between the gun and the Minerva, or the gun and the figure. So yeah, as with the car, the KO is actually quite a bit thinner. Up close, it's pretty evident that the authentic Minerva, which is on the left, has a significantly thicker head and back plate and arms than the KO. And so that's going to happen throughout the entire figure as you have this issue of sizing. The point where the KO is actually almost like unusable on an actual, as a head for the actual Minerva. I figured this is a good time to do a transformation. Since the star of the show here is Minerva, I figure we'll start with her and work our way through. So first step is I take off all the guns carefully because I don't want to damage Minerva. Set these off to the side. do a quick multi-view of the figure. From the bottom, we have you know, you can see the chest piece, the hands, and the legs. So part 2 is opening the roof. Step 3 is pulling the Minerva Headmaster or Master Force Titan, well, not Titans, Headmaster Junior out. Carefully removing her from her helmet seat. It's a seat right now. Closing this back up. You can actually put this inside here. And the reason for doing that is to prevent scratches, which are very common on both Nightbeat and on Minerva, because what happens is the roof itself actually has a contact point right near the top of the roof. And what happens is over time that bumps against it over and over again, and when you're playing, it jiggles as it gets older and gets looser. And so what happens is you end up with scratch damage. So one option is to do that. Now the problem with that is then that loosens up this joint, and so you end up with this big giant thing where you go, do I put it in there? Do I put it out? So I just put it out, and I'm very careful. And actually, since I got these repro labels on here, or since these repro labels are on here, it helps a lot. But on Nightbeat, you don't really have that option. It's direct plastic on paint, and the paint, you know, over the years, it wears down. Anyways, just a side note. Next, you can pop the legs open, but the problem with popping the legs open next is that they're going to bump against here, and that creates contact damage, which eventually, you know, wears the shoulders down, etc., etc., etc. So pop the shoulders out, and then pop the legs down. As I mentioned in my Nightbeat video, oh no, that's coming off. I'll have to fix that. Anyways, too bad they don't have, you know, still make repro labels for these. But anyways, as noted, the shoulders on this one have been stretched, as I mentioned in the Break Nightbeat Anatomy G101 anatomy video. The shoulders here have been stretched beyond their capacity, and so there's actually a wedge there where the bolt has been pulled out too far, and it started to damage the plastic. So these shoulder joints will need to be replaced at some point. I've gotten replacement shoulder joints, but I know a lot of people like to keep their figures original. I do have the one original sticker right there. All the other ones were completely decimated. Yeah, so chest piece is good, nice and tight, thank goodness, because that is it would be very sad if it was worn down. It looks like it's been removed before. There's marks where it's been pulled out, but I'm not sure if those are there originally or what. But yeah, definitely if you have a Nightbeat or a Minerva, do not remove this chest piece over and over again like I did with my one from when I was a kid. It still stays on, but it's loose. This one's nice and tight. Anyway, so yeah, that's basically the whole transformation. So I do the arms first, pop them up, pop the hands out, You can bring them down like this before you pop them out. Pop them out. Yeah, legs, fold them out. And I do that last, even though you don't have to. I recommend it because I really don't like to stress the figures beyond what they need. Because, I mean, look at these scuffs. This has scuffs right here from when it's been done over and over again. And over time, it's going to wear down the doors, and it puts some additional strain on this back hinge, which, as you note on this one, oh, it still clicks. It doesn't usually click. Sometimes it doesn't click. It only has one click. It should have a couple clicks, like 2 or 3. I think, if I remember correctly, it should have 2 or 3. And that's, you know, something to watch out for. And then, of course, you have to do the, I guess I should probably have the gun forward so we can, you know, try to make this as cool as possible. Have the ear laser antennas on. They go right here, and then you have her go like jump and then like flip, and then I'm trying to remember how it goes. She goes into the thing and it goes, and she goes, or whatever, flies down. You can see the let's watch that again because this is fun. This has a nice tight connection, which is nice. And it holds good. Like I can flip it upside down and, you know, everything's, see, even the chest plate is in good shape. She can pull a Spider-Man now. And nothing's falling off, which is nice to have. I've seen a couple other Minervas that I've handled a couple other Minervas that the chest plate falls off. The only problem with this one is mainly the shoulders and not having original stickers and, you know, some scratch marks here and there, but that's okay. But I've seen somewhere that, you know, the chest plate falls off, the head falls off, it doesn't stand because the springs and the clip are all, the springs worn out and the clips are messed up. There's a clip in here, right there on either side. It's a whole black piece, and then underneath is a spring that attaches to this little pin here. And the pin goes down when you put the figure in. This pushes it. Now on a, and that brings the stat bar down. Well, on the on Nightbeat and Minerva, these are just on a printed plate that comes down. The stats are just on a printed plate. With the main Headmasters, they have tumblers, and those tumblers rotate to match the stats that are marked into these right here. These are the stats right here. It's gonna be the don't drop it. They're gonna be the inverse. So if you see this one's longer, this one's, the middle is short, and then the last one's longer. You push it down. Oh, they're the same. That's an important consideration. Yeah. So that's the transformation for Minerva. She looks awesome. I actually prefer the fact that she's like off-white because the off-white looks better than just a solid like shocking white. Off-white. Shocking white. Off-white. Shocking white. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and transform the rest of these and see how this comes out. All right, so we got these all transformed. As you can see, the KO is, let's take off the helmets. You can see significantly shorter again, quite a bit shorter than the real Minerva. Nightbeat's obviously the same height. Chest plate on, so big differences. Let's go through the differences and similarities real quick. The biggest difference that's obvious is no sticker here, no sticker here, no sticker here, no sticker here, no sticker here. I don't know if the original if it originally had that. I don't think it did. I think these are all the original stickers. Headlights are red. This weird printed strip. I don't know if it has a specific meaning. If that's like a Korean medical thing, or like if they have those on like ambulances or something. And then the lightning bolt, which I assume refers to maybe like an AED. External defibrillator. I'm not sure if that's what that means. There's a defibrillator inside there, guys. Medical cross, which is really cool. And the hands are significantly angled the wrong direction on the KO. They angle out instead of. There we can put the hands next to each other, and you can maybe kind of see it. They angle the different directions. Yeah, they angle different directions. So yeah, interesting. And then the body is black here. That's like one of the most significant changes. This is white. The torso is white. The torso on here is black. And then the other big change that really delineates it is the chest plate. There's no spring in here. There's no spring mechanism to push down the plate. The plate doesn't go down. There is no pin inside the neck. You can get a good angle on that. It's just empty. So there's no pin here to slide down. And then the neck socket is pretty similar. On the shoulders, there's casting casting marks on the shoulders, on the top of the shoulder sockets. So that's another difference. No stickers on the arms, as are on the yellow here on these little stickers here on both Nightbeat. Let's see if we can get that in a better angle. Nightbeat and Minerva. None on those. Obviously, if you got some repro labels, you could probably throw them on there and get that to look more accurate. Another big difference is the bolting configuration. On the chest here, the bolts are deeply seated inside. You can't even see them in this picture here. On the real ones, they stick out quite a bit, and I'm not sure why that is. I'm just guessing they just drilled the posts deeper on these. Another difference is obviously there's a pin here for pegging it in to the chest. There's a peg hole in the chest, so it can pop in, and it actually makes it pretty difficult to pull it out without breaking. There's actually some stress to the plastic stress on this one. It's kind of noticeable there. Yeah, see there, you can see it right there at the bottom of the post. There's some stress lines developing from opening and closing. I don't even open it and close it that much. So yeah, fun times. Get a look at them sideways. Kind of tell the significant differences. Again, Nightbeat has the blue, the yellow, silver windows, the flame stickers that are translucent. So here's where the big differences come in between the figures. I'm going to try to remember all of the differences. I should be able to do it. This one's actually done wrong. The sticker's applied wrong. So we have yellow and silver here. Yellow and silver here. So these are the same sticker as on Minerva. These piece right here, this sticker that comes down on Minerva is actually green, and on Nightbeat, or the part around the triangle is green, and on the Nightbeat it's blue. And then this Nightbeat should actually have two stickers here that are should be basically identical. And then the knee pad ones are red. The triangles are red on Nightbeat, and yellow on Minerva. So that's an interesting change that was made at some point. Again, it's up for debate it's up for debate which one came first. It looks like the strip here next to the little lines down the center is actually darker on the sides of the on the Nightbeat, and it's straight silver on the Minerva. The Minerva also, the blue, red, and white are the same. It should be the same on Nightbeat. I've actually got some repro labels coming for that. Should have the same face sticker on both of them. The repro labels, there's a slight difference between the repro labels. They're a little bit more dull than the original G1 stickers. The original G1 stickers are more like I don't know if it's a pressed foil or it's a much thinner. It's a thinner foil that's much shinier than the repro labels. The repro labels are more dull as far as the foil goes. On the back, no stickers on the back, obviously. Same kind of stuff. Obviously, there's headlights here. You can actually pull the headlights off, and there's a pin. There's that pin again, and a little gap here that's not on the other ones. And then you obviously can put those in. But it's cool to have the little headlights. They're not super impressive, but it's fun to have them. Be cool if there was like I haven't checked, but maybe there's some Shapeways ones, or someone will come up with some Shapeways ones. Again, the screws go deeper on the ratcheting spring knees on the KO, right up to the surface on these, and then there's these little spacers that are inside the backs of the knees, yellow on Nightbeat and red on Minerva. None on KO, and it doesn't appear to be any screw placement in the back, so I'm guessing that wasn't casted when they did the casting of this. Other than that, that's about it for these. The big thing that I'd like to note if you the big thing I'd like to note if you have one of these figures is not so much with the KO, because the KO is super light. Like the weight is that's a big thing. The weight on an actual Minerva and an actual Nightbeat is much heavier than the KO. The KO is very hollow feeling, and I'm not sure exactly what causes that, and probably just plastic density, and that probably has to do with the way they cast it. Wanted to go through a couple different figures that kind of to give an idea of how big, if you don't have one of these. I mean, obviously they're pretty common. If you don't have, I mean, not the Minervas obviously, but the Nightbeat is pretty common. Basically, to give you an idea of scale, if you have some of these other things, because it's always cool. I always like it when at the end of the video, they put up the actual size. Now, as I mentioned in my other video, be careful when folding these in and out if you have an older Nightbeat or Minerva, especially with Minerva. This little peg here, both the top and the bottom one, like to break if you're not too careful. Same thing when you're cleaning them, taking them apart. They get brittle especially if they got a lot of sun damage. This one obviously has very little sun damage because he's not, dark green, and she hasn't had too much sun damage because she's not too yellowed. So here's a couple other figures so we can give some comparisons. I have my junk iron blacksmith blaster to give you an idea of how big the some of the third party headmasters are, how big they are in people mode. I've got my custom Minerva from my other video that I made, and I've got a Diaclone powered system suit, and then we got the solid scan DA08EX, and we got the pilot too. So let's get him out here so you get an idea of size. And we got the pilot. Let's put the muzzle and Nightbeat muzzle in the middle so you can get like a better scale. It's hard to tell scale when they're not all immediately next to each other. We got the let's scoot that over so it's a little clearer that he's there. And we've got Kirk, Headmaster, a Japanese Headmaster, G1. And then we can just kind of do this thing. You can kind of see, or we can go, let's put this here. We can get an idea how tall they are. So that's the size differences. Can do some measurements real quick so you can get a better idea. We've got a little over an inch for the Dianot. We've got 2 inches for the junk iron blacksmith headmaster, about the same size as a regular headmaster. 1 1/8 inches. Titan master is a little bit taller, 1 1/4. The almost 2 inches for the the powered system suit. Probably a full 2 inches if I had it stand straight up. And then 1.75 inches for the Kirk. And then for Minerva, full height is just slightly over 6 inches if you count the helmet, and 6.5 if you count the antennas, basically. And then in centimeters, that's or millimeters, that's 2.5, 2.8 centimeters, 4.5, about 5 centimeters. So almost basically twice as tall. And then the 3 centimeters for the Headmaster Junior, 3.4 centimeters, 3.25 centimeters for the Titan Master, 5 centimeters for the 5.2, 5.3 centimeters for the solid scan suit, and 4.5 for the 5 for the let's say 4.5 for the Kirk, and then a masterful 15 centimeters to the helmet for Minerva, and almost 15 and a half centimeters to the 15.75, 15 and a half centimeters to the antennas. And then we'll flip them around and do the faces. was fun. Let's do this again sometime. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope to have a video review up of the new LGEX God Ginrai box set from the Titan's Return version of the God Ginrai from Master Force pretty soon. Otherwise, until then, thanks for watching.